Joining us now on Blitz is Shane Williamson, third-year head coach of the Lumpkin Co Indians football program. Coach, first of all, just thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you for having me on here. It's always good to be able to talk about our football program and all of the stuff that you do promoting high school sports.
Absolutely, and you guys are exciting to watch right now. 1-1 in the season. You got a big game tonight as well. But talk about, is there any truth to, usually that year three for any head coach, kind of a different group in a way because I hate to say like this is your guys, but I mean this is 3 years in the program. They've really got accustomed to how you kind of operate the program.
Yeah, I think so. The big thing about Lumpkin in the past, there's been so much transition with head coaches. 3 years is kind of like a lifetime here. So I think the kids are getting adjusted to the things that we want as a coaching staff. I felt like last year I really made some bad decisions on trying to go in a direction we probably wasn't quite ready to go yet, and we still needed to incorporate building a program from foundation up. I tried to speed the process up a little bit too fast last year. So, my main concentration right now is working with our feeder programs all the way up through the high school. But it is good. Year three, you know the kids a little bit better. They know you. But our biggest thing when I got here, we had 6 freshmen. And then the year after that, we had 10. So I knew immediately there was an issue that we had to start, building a bridge between our feeder program, our middle school, into the high school. And that's kind of been our big concentration. And so we've got in the high 20s, close to 30 freshmen this year, which makes up about half of our football team. And so we're kind of headed in the right direction there. But it's been fun this year because kind of going back old school, doing some things that I truly love and have done in the past at other programs. And our bottom line is we just, want to get the most out of the kids we can, get them in the right position where they can be successful, and try to be a very physical football team, blocking and tackling.
Yeah, that's great insight, especially and like you said, leaps and bounds, building that the programs from the ground up and getting those numbers up for the freshmen. That's going to be huge for the future. But you kind of alluded to this, but last year we saw Lumpkin pass the ball a little bit more, and this year you went back to the bread and butter, back to the ground game. And how much of that is the personnel that you have to go back to the wishbone? Because you have such a talented group there with Tucker Kirk under center, and then Luke Smith having a great year, Kyle Ambergy, and the list goes on.
It does. Last year, you never want to say you can't throw and catch, but it just didn't really fit the personnel we had. We have to play a lot of kids both ways, and usually that's your skill kids. And so, when they're out running routes and then they turn around and have to try to defend route running, at some point in time, their legs are going to get a little tired. And so what we tried to do is we want to play as many kids as possible, because the difference between a 1 and a 2 guy and what we're doing now is not that drastic. We can ask a guy to line up and block in the passing routes we're going to run, or not, vertical routes all up and down the field. So I just felt like the scheme of what we were doing really fit the kids that were here. And as we grow this program, we'll be able to kind of open the offense up a little bit more. And then we've got to be able to, we still got to throw the football, even though we're, in a running offense. But I just think it helped our defense because we were able to go against something physical every day. And so from an overall standpoint, I just feel like we can kind of have that uniqueness about us, kind of Georgia Tech has.
Yeah.
You don't see it every day anymore. And so you got to prepare for it in 3 or 4 days. And so we just feel like it's a win-win for us.
Absolutely. How big was the win? Well, we know the margin anyway. 42-0 was the win over East Jackson in the opener. The biggest margin of victory for Lumpkin since 2011, I believe, if I didn't get my numbers wrong there. But how big was that win for this program to open the season like that?
Oh, it was huge. I don't really know the history of the last time we come out, winning our first football game here in Lumpkin. But, it's just kind of a reward for the kids that's been working hard since January. We had a spring game. We were able to win our spring game on the varsity level, and then we had a fall scrimmage against town and win that. And then to truly win your first game, that was huge for our kids because, it's always, it's like I tell them, you put all this work in, you want to get paid. It's no different than going to work, every day. You work 5 days and you want to get a paycheck at the end. And I said, that's our paycheck. game 9 or game 8 before we got a win. And so to knock that out early gives you some confidence going in and just believing in what we're doing.
Yeah, and that definitely seemed like it bled over into the White County game. And that first half, I mean, a great performance by your defense. Even the offense had some big runs, just the drives would kind of stall. White County's a great team, but I know you really were probably proud of the first half, maybe not as much in the second half, but what were the issues that you feel moving forward you learned from that?
Well, it's funny, in our pregame devotion we were talking about living in a glass house, and we were explaining that, if you live in a glass house, a comment can crush you. And I said the same thing on a football team. If you live in a glass house, one little pebble can shatter your house. And I said, tonight there's going to be, rocks and pebbles thrown at our house, and we're going to find out if we got a foundation or do we have a glass house. And so the first half, we were in the football game, and then come out the second half, we get the ball. It's kind of right where we'd kind of planned the thing out, and we have a fumble, and they get the ball on the 19-yard line, and then the next series they get the ball, they throw a deep pass, great catch, but they end up scoring, and so we go down from being 7-0 at the start of the second half to 21-0 in a matter of 5 or 6 minutes on the clock, and that was kind of that pebble that broke our glass house, and that's the thing that we're continuing to work on is, don't let one bad thing continue on to be a lot of bad things. And,
right.
And that's just having confidence in your winning and confidence, and that's where we're lacking right now. And those are the things we've been stressing all week long, is the game is made up of 4 quarters, not just one play. And I felt like that was kind of the turning point for us. And give White County credit, they are a great football team. Mm-hmm. But, when you give a team a short field to play on 19 yards, that's tough for us to defend that when you're playing a team like White County. But I was proud of our effort the first half. I thought we did some things well, but at the same time, we saw a lot of things we can do to correct, and I felt like we've had a good week of practice. We've worked them really hard in the weight room and on the practice field, and the sun's also worked real hard on us this week. It really got back hot, because Friday it was almost, I think, in the high 50s or low 60s, and it was almost fall weather last Friday night. And then Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, man, it's been summertime. So it's been a really tough week for us on the field practicing, and we're hoping that we can, just gain a little bit each week before we get into region play.
Yeah, and echoing what you said, we were at the game to get highlights from that White County Lumpkin game, and like you said, it felt really nice fall-type weather, and then again, heated back up this week. But what's the plan and approach this week for Jackson County?
Jackson's a lot like White County. They got a very stingy defense. They're great over there. They run fast to the ball, well coached, and then they run a unique offense, kind of a single wing approach, and they're pulling guys and trying to get 4 or 5 guys in one hole, and then they're going to come back and run a counter off of it. So what they do from an offensive standpoint, even though they're in shotgun, it's still kind of a run-oriented offense, and it's going to be a challenge for us, number one, to be able to line up to their unique formations and how, because they got 2 guys standing back there, and the guy can snap it to either guy.
Yeah,
and so it's a little unique, but we tried to mimic that as best we can in practice. And so, like I told our defense, it's how quick can we get adjusted to the full game speed and to the different formations they give you. And I said, that's where it could be a pebble right there that's being thrown at us. We can't let a series determine how we're going to play. I said, this is going to be a game where you're going to have to adjust on the run, because it's such a unique style of offense you don't see week in and week out. And so kind of the flip side of what we were trying to do with our style of offense, they're kind of doing it with their style of offense too. So I think the biggest thing is how quickly we can adjust and be able to manage their offense. And then from us on an offensive standpoint, we've got to be able to move the football and be able to move the chains and get first downs and find a way to score and not put our defense in a bad situation. And it's always going to come down to special teams play too. We've got to be able to be sound in all 3 phases, turnovers and things like that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for your time, Coach. We're going to go ahead and declare a Lumpkin victory tonight, and can't wait to see how that unfolds. But I know, like you said, it's going to be a tough game, but we got confidence you guys are going to do it. So, good luck tonight.
Hey, I appreciate that. Look forward to seeing y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.